Okay, hopefully it will go to Instagram. Hold on. I think I just screwed it up.
It's
Oh
okay.
no. Uh-oh. Hold on. Oh, we're live. I think it's on Instagram. Okay, it should
It
be.
says
All
your
right,
Insta
let's
is
hope so.
live.
Okay.
Awesome. Great. You look beautiful. Oh, I cannot hear you. One second. I can't hear you. No. When you,
Can you hear me now?
oh, now I can.
Okay.
Yes.
Sorry,
Yes.
I had my speaker off.
That's okay. Okay.
No, it's not working. Okay. Anyways, sorry, technical problems. Anyways, welcome,
Yes, that's how it
welcome.
is.
I know, right? It's always something. So thank you for being patient for all of you there watching on the other channels. I am so excited. I've got my beautiful friend Nina here, Nina Perez, and she is from Confidence. And we are business besties. We met at a conference and we've just really connected. So I really wanted Nina to come on and talk about her journey as a, a coach. So Nina, why don't, oh no, you're frozen. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Oh, okay, your picture's frozen. All right, hopefully the connect. Oh, there you are. Okay, love for you. Oh, good. Thank you, Scout. She says we're live on Insta. Nina, I would love for you to introduce yourself and tell about your business to our audience.
Well, my name is Nina Perez, and I'm a dance instructor turned connection coach. And I help people calibrate their charisma and work on body language, connecting with others, conversation skills. In a way, I teach the how to of connection so that when you go out there and you're meeting people and you're networking, or maybe you're going on dates or whatever situation, whether romance or business, you know what to do from the inside out, from your body to your energy, to also your conversation skills. So I help people learn how to connect. And when you can connect, oh my God, all your dreams are just, it's like they get skyrocketed. They happen faster because we need people for our dreams, for our lives. People need people. And when you know how to connect, you can get more sales, more business, you can have more friendships, more relationships. You can even get like on TV, like whatever opportunities that you're looking for, TEDx stages or whatever. If you know people and if you connect with people in a warm and also charismatic way, in which we are all charismatic in our own way, but if we know how to do the connection, then we get those opportunities faster. We live our dreams more in a fulfilled way. We have more of the relationships, deep and meaningful relationships that we're looking for. And we have what I call a connected life. And that's what I do. I teach people who, from shy, introverted people to people who are like, I'm not shy, but I'm not getting the results. Everything is superficial and I want to have deeper connections. Or you're like, I need to get to the next level. And I know that the person that I am is not the one that's going to get me to the next level. And I need to elevate my charisma. I need to elevate my connection. I need to elevate my network, my friendships. You know what I mean? So when you want to go to the next level, connection and other people, like relationship building, is one of the fastest ways to do that.
Oh, I love that. I love that so much. And, I think it's really pertinent in this current state that we're in because, COVID really isolated us so much. And I think we're trying to get back into the swing of things. And sometimes it's a little awkward because we've done so many things on Zoom, like to actually be in presence of somebody else sometimes feels a little weird, right? Because we're just used to the screen and talking on camera instead of being in person. So I love this, and I think it's really important. And I also think what you're teaching will help somebody be able to connect virtually as well, like help them be feel
Oh,
more empowered in connecting virtually. Because for me, when I first started doing all these like lives and um, Zoom meetings, it feels really weird, and it's like, how do you put yourself out there because you're staring at yourself in the camera instead of like talking to someone. And then you start, I mean, like for me, I don't know if this is you, but for me, I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh my God, look at my hair, like my teeth, I got something in my teeth or whatever, instead of trying to have that connection with somebody. And that's where I think what you're teaching is really valuable. I
I
help people.
totally, I agree because before the pandemic, we were having a loneliness epidemic, and the pandemic kind of exacerbated that. And now the research that is coming out is that 25% of the world globally doesn't feel like they have a confidant or somebody that they could call in a time of struggle. And the rest, I would say that another percentage of people that are feeling kind of rusty. And I was actually at a training today, and the teacher was talking about, out of 800 views of something, only 6 people liked his post, and the engagement is so low. And I think that's like a representation of how the world, even though we're connected, we're not engaging with each other. And so I don't like to use the word connected. We're like superficially connected, but we're not deeply connected. We're not
Yes.
deeply engaging with each other. But when we do, I feel like that's when magic happens. And that's what happened between us, because we had a
Yes, for
great conversation that went deeper than the surface, and we talked about our passions, what our goals were. Like, this is next level that sometimes strangers don't get to talk about. You don't talk about these things to strangers, but we did, because we felt comfortable, warm, we felt kingship, we connected and bonded over common interest, common struggles and challenges. And so then we were able to really quickly connect in a deep, meaningful way, engage, and actually exchange energy, which is what real connection is all about. And I
sure.
think a lot of people in the world are blocking their energy because they're scared, or they're not trusting, or they're worried, or they have fears, or they've been burned in the past, or something has happened. And so we kind of walk around with all the armor and the, guardedness, and we're missing out on the beautiful people that can enliven us, fulfill us, deepen our relationships with them and ourselves as we, talk with others, and we're just missing out. And then we have that feeling of either loneliness or a little bit rusty with connecting and wanting to not engage, kind of hiding behind the, oh, I don't know anyone, or I don't know how to connect, or I don't know what they're going to think of me, or all the limiting beliefs that
We
leave
have.
us totally disconnected.
Yeah, for sure. I think you hit it on the head so clearly, is people really are afraid to be vulnerable, and that's one of the only ways. Well, for me, I've found that being a little vulnerable and putting myself out there opens the door for somebody else to receive, and then also to be vulnerable with me, right? So it's harder for someone to feel vulnerable to me if I've got the wall all put
Yes.
up, right? But if I kind of say something about, oh gosh, this room is so busy and I feel intimidated, you know what I mean? And then you're like, oh God, I feel that way too. Then we have a way of connecting and building on that connection. So um,
Yeah, and in terms of what I teach, it's I call it releasing the social tension. Because when you actually speak about something that is a vulnerability, but it's something that you're noticing, and the other person can have a shared experience about it. So you're like, oh, this room is so busy, or oh, networking is so awkward, I always don't know what to say. When you actually say that, it's like you cut the social tension, which is the worries that everybody's walking around with, these worries, and we're not naming them, but we all have them. And when somebody says it, it's like, ah, we
you're
can
like, whew,
relax.
I don't,
And
yeah,
it's like, I'm not alone. And that is another, yeah, that's connection in action, right? That's when we both feel like, and we can then exchange our energy. We can then feel the other person's heart, and our hearts can also be able to open up.
Yes, for
And that's what
sure.
I that's what I call presence, right? Really being able to, you creating that space with your presence for somebody else to show up and be present, and you guys can really connect at a
Yeah.
human to human level, at a heart to heart level. I mean, what's more beautiful than that?
It's so beautiful when you do that, when you find somebody that you can connect and have these common. I mean, like I felt that from you, and after we had that tea, that coffee that day, and it was just so. It carried me through the week. Thinking about our conversation and what we had shared, and that's what makes life so special is those connections. So I love what you're
True.
doing. I'm just going to say something really quick for those of you on Instagram. If you have a question for Nina, please put it in the comments or in the comment bubble. We'd love to answer questions. And if you are just joining us, um, bless you. This
Yes.
is my friend Nina Perez, and she is a confidence coach, and she helps people
So
connect more
confidence is
intimately.
actually my course. My company is
Oh,
called Connect to Thrive. Yes. And I do teach
that's right.
confidence and charisma. And I have a course called Confidence. And we can
Okay.
talk about my story because my background is in dance. And so I kind of put us together, confidence. One
Oh, I
day that
love
name
that.
came to me.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Yes. So tell me a little bit about you, how you've evolved in the last, few years. I know you were a dance instructor, and it's a really great story. So I would love for our audience to hear it.
Yeah, I can. It depends how long you want this to go, but I can tell you I'm from Argentina, and in Argentina, uh, instead of babysitting, you put kids in dance classes. Because it's a very Latin culture is all about music and connection, and the neighbors all know each other and so on, and and dancing is just part of life. We all dance, and we're kind of brought up with like there's no shame in dancing. So even if you're not a good dancer, and so my parents put me in a dance class early on, and I was a very shy child, very, very, very shy, very introverted, and my sister was the extroverted child. And so I I learned through dance how to explore different ways of being, which it makes me think of the jewelry that you make. I think that when I put on jewelry, it helps me explore different ways of being, much like dance. Because sometimes I feel different. Like, for example, this one is a beautiful blue stone, and I feel a certain kind of delicate when I wear this. But there's some other jewelries that are like bigger that I feel more strong and empowered. And dance did that for me. Dance let me see, oh, I could be a leader, I could be a follower, I did all kinds of different folklore dances and different dances from different parts of the world. And they had their own kind of personality, right? I could be more sensual with tango, or I could be more fun and flirty with the bachata from Dominican Republic, or I could be more playful with the salsa from Cuba, right? And so dance kind of expanded this idea of me, that I could be more, because I was very shy. I went a whole year with people calling me the wrong name. I have
Oh my gosh.
stories of like not like having a best friend, and she would decide what we would do, what we would wear, where we would go, and I was just like, yes, yes. I was just a people pleaser, and I didn't have the confidence to be myself, but I could dance, and dance was like a world where I could explore. I just didn't know how to do it with a verbal, like with talking to people. I didn't know how to speak up. And it took a while, like with the dance, when I started working with a teacher who had faith that I could teach. He was like, you can dance really well, but let's help you teach. And I was like, "Ah, I don't want to talk to people," but he gave me that confidence. And he believed in me, which was great because he saw me differently, that I could teach. And so then I started teaching with him little things, and then I realized when I'm teaching what I know in dance, I have more confidence than if I would just walk up to a stranger and talk to them. And so I learned through teaching dance how to connect with people, because I was young, I was in my 20s, and everybody in the dance class were 30s, 40s, they were older than me. And so I felt like nobody's going to listen to me, I'm so young. But they did, because I knew how to dance. So I had a skill, I had an expertise. But I needed to learn how to communicate and how to have presence and how to have authority, and then how to negotiate with their limiting beliefs or their worries when they were learning to dance, or their mistakes, and so on. And the psychology of when you're learning, teaching dance taught me a lot about psychology, about how a lot of people stop themselves from having fun, from
For sure.
learning, from expressing, so much in their head and so little in their bodies. And so my whole journey was helping people to go from their head to their bodies and to feel and kind of go together, because you need to think, but you need to feel. And when that is in alignment, you can actually move beautiful, and you can express your energy in such a impactful way that others feel you. And so dance
So
taught me
beautiful.
all of that. But I realized as I got older that everything I learned in dance applied in my day to day interactions with my mom, let's say, and my family, and with my friends, and with my boss, and with my lover, and with my kids. Like everything I did in dance to connect with my partner, and then how I would move, and when things went well, why was it going so well? I was starting to apply them in conversations, in how I listened to people, in how I moved, when I walked from here to inside the boardroom, or if I walked across the room, how could I, like the attention that I would get from how I moved because of what I was thinking. So I started to apply all of the stuff from dance into my day to day life. And that's when I realized, oh my God, you can actually kind of like dance through life, and these principles transfer across to networking, to relationship building, to having good conversations, eventually to connecting, which is what we do all the time when we interact with people. We're always hoping to connect or not connect, right? Sometimes you don't want to connect, right? So you
Right.
could put a boundary. But the dance taught me all of the principles of how to connect off the dance floor. And long story short, that's what I teach right now, because as I learned to transfer that, I started getting a lot of success with meeting people, with building things that came out of seemingly nowhere. Like I would have an opportunity, and I would get on, like somebody would be like, you know what, I want to, one relationship would lead to a whole business. And I was like, okay. And instead of me having to go ABC, I could start on like F. I could start at a place where it was successful already. And why did that happen? It was because I connected with that person in such a deep level that I didn't have to start from scratch. I could start with somebody else, with partnerships, with collaborations. And so I realized, anybody you want to meet, you can meet them. Like you just need to know how to connect with them. I remember I had a moment once where I sent an email to a speaker who was a billionaire. He was a billionaire. He was speaking on stage. He gave an amazing talk, and it really touched me. He sent out his email, like he's like, here's my email if you guys want to have questions. I don't know if he was gonna look at the email or if he has assistants. He's a pretty high level person. But I sent him an email with all of how it impacted me, and I was
Oh,
very
so beautiful.
intentional with like how I expressed myself. I did all of my connection skills in that email, and he got back to me, and he was like, "This is the most amazing email," and so on. And a lot of people, whenever I see him and we meet, they're always like, how do you know this billionaire, and how does you're a dance teacher at that time? I was just a dance teacher. Like, how come you know this billionaire, and you and him go out for lunch and dinners, and you get invited into these rooms? And it was like, oh, because we connected. And
It's
so a lot of like people around me started asking me like, well, can you teach me how to connect with people better? How do I do things better? And that's how my coaching business started. And it flourished
so
easier because I had relationships. And so the relationships that I built, when I said to friends, I'm starting to coach, I had a friend who's like, I'll send you all the women that you can coach, and I'm going to coach the men. And so all of a sudden, I'm like, okay, I don't start from zero. I'm starting from like 10 steps ahead because of the relationships. And so I truly, truly believe that if you know how to connect with people, whatever dream you have, you can accelerate that. You can have so much fun doing it as well. And that's
awesome.
that's been my story. So now I teach private one-on-one. I coach in groups. I have speaking, like I speak on stage about connection and how to do this. And I really teach people the practical side of things, because there's a lot of information, but how to actually embody it so that it's not like a fake technique that you learn. Like it's
Right.
not a technique that you're just saying. and somebody says a word like, oh, okay, ask this question. What's the highlight of your day? Well, how come it's not landing right? How come people think you're weird? Eh? Because there's more to just trying a technique. There's more than just hacking something. You need to actually embody it. You need to feel like you are evolving, and that's going to exude in your energy. So I teach the real how to connect
So,
with
so
people.
you're basically saying when it comes to the embodying part, it's like tapping into your authentic self, like who you really are, instead of somebody saying, "Ask this question," right?
Yes, like you can ask this question, but you need to ask it in your style. Like if you're
Right.
an introvert or an extrovert, it's going to come out differently. If you like if you and also if you want to be more like if you need to connect with somebody at a social level, you want to up your warmth with people when you're asking the question. But if you are, for example, needing to, it's a professional environment and people need to see you in a more competent way, then you need to ask the question a little bit different. And so it's going to land different. And sometimes us women, we tend to do things always in a certain way, and I hear this a lot. Oh, nobody's taking me seriously, or I can't ask for that price in the sale, because people are not buying at that price, but then they'll buy it to that gentleman or that other person. So why? Oh, because something in the way you're presenting is not connecting or coming out, your energy is not coming out right, confident, competent, and warm or charismatic. And so then that's why you're not able to. And so there's these like calibrations that we need to do to make sure that we do connect with people. And that's the practical side that sometimes people don't even know that they're missing. They're like, things are not working. I must not know how to do it, or I must, learn a different technique, read another book, watch another video. And it
Right.
doesn't matter how many things you do if you are not actually coming from the place, from the inside out, from the body language, the energy, and your intention has to be aligned as well as with your words.
So when you talk about, you've mentioned this a couple times, the confidence, competence, and there were two
So
others.
warmth and competence scale, yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and so when you're talking about those things, can you give like, could you give the audience like a quick little easy tip that could help them portray maybe confidence when they're in a situation that they don't feel very confident? Like,
Well,
what would you
yes.
to embody it?
Yeah.
I'd love to.
Well, let's talk about also with what you do, because I find that so there's the various ways we can go about it, but one of the ways is to dress in a way that it inspires a certain part of you. And so I find jewelry, and in dance, I used to wear a costume for whatever dance I'm going to do. And why do people wear costumes, right? It's because they feel different. It brings something out in them that maybe without the costume, it's kind of harder to be bold in that way. And so one of the quickest, fastest way is to actually self-care on yourself, like self-love yourself, and put on things that make you smile when you wear them. Do your hair, do put on a talisman jewelry or earrings or something that makes you feel like, oh, I'm just zhuzhed up a little bit, right? And then
Yeah.
and then use that to remind yourself of the intention of, this is who I want to be right now. And I think a lot of people don't realize that we are conscious beings with choice. We can choose what we're going to do in the next moment. Like, even if everything has been bad in the past, right now, Louise Hay says, right now is the point of power. Right now, we can make a choice. So you could be having like the worst day. I
Mhm.
had one of those days the other day. I had some really bad news and stuff, and I was crying, and it was hard. I was worried about the future and afraid. And then I was like, okay, well, what would be, I could choose what would be the best kind of my ideal handling of the situation. And I came up with hopeful and positive. If I could be hopeful and positive in the situation, I may be able to react differently to it. And so I relaxed, I took, deep breath. And then I thought, well, what would hopeful and positive say right now? Right. And I talked to myself, but sometimes you can do that with jewelry. If something makes you feel
Mhm.
positive or
For sure.
hopeful or strong, then you start with that. You can start with that, and then that's going to feed into, if you're intentional, okay, now that I have this, what would I do? How would I use this as an anchor to remind myself that this is what I want to be and I can choose to be this? And then what would I act? Right. And so that's just like a practical kind of technique.
I
Um,
I I love how you say to that you stopped yourself and you asked yourself a question and then you talk to yourself, because our self-talk is so powerful, whether it's positive or negative. And I am the worst at talking to myself in the negative, and I do have to stop myself and say, "Oh my God, what are you doing?" Because it takes me down the spiral. So I love that you talk about that and how it gets you back into that confidence mode of thinking positively and being the person you want to be, showing up how you want to be.
Totally. And I find that visual triggers like and physical triggers, physical anchors, as Tony Robbins would call them, like they're great. And so sometimes I will walk into in the bathroom and look at myself in the mirror and where do we get changed? Where do we get ourselves ready? In the bathroom, right? And so it's a powerful kind of place for us to be able to choose, okay, well, what do I want to do next? You can be alone with your thoughts, but then you can be with your eyes in the bathroom looking at yourself. And now it looks like you know the woman in the mirror, you're talking to the woman in the mirror, right? Like you're talking to yourself, and it's a little bit easier to engage and then choose. And I think there's something really powerful about looking at yourself in your eyes and saying, I choose to be hopeful and positive, and what would I do next? And that ideas will come down, you will feel inspired or downloads, or you might have some like aha moment just because you made eye contact with yourself and you asked yourself a question.
Oh, I love that. That's beautiful. That is so beautiful. I'm going to try that. I'm going to use
Yeah.
that. So thank you for sharing that. I know that you are coming out with a course, and we talked about it briefly, the confidence course. And I'd love for you to share what that is and how people can get in touch with you about this course, because it sounds amazing. But I want you to explain it and share what it is and how you can help people out there.
Sure, sure. So the confidence course is me teaching everyone the body language cues of connection. So, what are the things from head to toe that will help you connect with yourself and your natural charisma and your confidence, and then signal to other people that you're available to engage, that you're available to connect? So, many, many times we don't realize that we are repelling people with some of our body language actions and ways of being. Like we think, oh, I'm just going to be comfortable and I'm just going to lean back on the chair, but all of a sudden, this live we're like this, but now I'm talking to you like this, and it makes a difference. It makes a difference that I'm distant, and all of these things are subliminally affecting the other person. And so, because we have the mirror neuron, so the other person is like picking up on your body language and these cues. And so, the confidence course is going to it teaches you confidence, and it's called confidence because there are some elements of exercises that I get you to do and learn from me, where it gets you in your body, and we will use movement. Some I do call it dance, but we're not going to be learning exactly how to dance 100%. But you're going to learn some movements, some steps that help you get into your body and understand how to feel the different parts of the body and what it means to you, like that you are leaning on your left hip or right hip, like what that does to your feminine energy, how that
Mm.
exudes and comes out. And do you want to use that at the time of this meeting or this date, or like how can you be in your body and ways and understand what that means, and then how do you use that in a body language fashion so that you can actually connect when you want to connect effectively with people. And when your body language starts sending signals of connection, then you're going to create opportunities for connecting with the verbal, right? For having better conversations and so on. So I find that confidence is like the step one of understanding body language and
Mhm.
understanding what you are doing with your body. A lot of people are a little bit guarded, or they're like, oh, I can't do this. And you can start seeing all of the limiting beliefs. So we will be removing some of the limiting beliefs around body image, body language, around connection.
Mhm.
And of course, we're going to talk about how to apply this in your dreams. Like, what's your vision?
Oh, wow.
And how do we start embodying ourselves as that person that would accomplish that vision. And so it's a 12-week program. We start from the beginning, we develop a vision, then we do some exercises on how to become that person, evolve to become that person that could accomplish the vision. And then I
Hmm.
teach you all the body language from head to toe that you need to know so that you are out there intentionally connecting with people and not by accident disconnecting or giving cues of disconnection. And we're going to learn a little bit about how to get into our bodies. So there's a small portion of movement and dance. And this is for both men and women. So you know, and it's all solo. You don't have to have a dance partner or anything like that. It's all about self-awareness, self-exploration, and then how to understand that body language is so huge. You know, I was listening to a guy who was in Shark Tank or something, one of those shows, and he
Hmm.
said, I know if I'm going to invest in someone or not by how they walk out. So we're talking like
Oh,
millions
wow.
of dollars in investing opportunity. He decides on how they walk out. And so this is before the person was able to pitch or tell the business or do anything. This shark makes his decision based on the body language because he says so much is nonverbal. Like I can tell the confidence of that person if that person's going to follow through in the business, make it from how they move, how they walk. And I was like, oh wow, that's I need to share this with people because people don't realize how much we are making assumptions, like judgments, connections based on the nonverbal.
Well, they say you make a judgment about somebody in the first, what, 5 seconds when you meet them?
Yeah,
I mean,
like that.
it's really fast. It's a blink of an eye of whether you want to continue talking to them or not. So
Yeah.
you're going to teach them in the course. You'll teach them skills so that they can keep
Have
that protocol.
amazing first impressions. Yeah, amazing first impressions. And then, you know, how to you be comfortable with yourself. Sometimes you could be walking down the street without knowing that you're going to meet someone, but how you're walking down the street. Like sometimes we don't know that we're being watched, you know, that people
Yeah.
are paying attention. And even on social media, like a lot of people are watching us and we may not know that we are repelling them or giving it different kinds of cues. Like for example, a lot of women give a lot of warmth cues and they use words and that make others feel like they are very loving, but yet so for example, they'll use words like around 10 years, like I've been teaching around 10 years or mostly this and that. That kind of language and that kind of demeanor makes them look less competent. And so if somebody's looking to hire you or whatever, they're like, mostly around. It just gives that kind of a message without us knowing, right? But
Right.
if you know, like, okay, in this scenario, I need to exude competence and warmth. I need people to be able to approach me and to see that I am a human being and I will listen to them. But I also need them to understand that they can learn from me, that I know what I'm talking about and I'm an expert. And so you need to convey both. And I find that a lot of women convey mostly the warmth without the competence, and a lot of men convey the competence without the warmth. And so the
Yes, for
guys,
sure.
they become unapproachable. They become a little bit like, oh, you know, I could hire him, but he's a little bit intimidating, so I'm not going to hire him, right? And so we need to learn how to calibrate depending on the situation, a little bit more warmth, a little bit more competence, and then people will experience us as charismatic. They'll experience us as I want to talk to that person again. I want to connect again. I want to see them again, you know? So,
Oh, that's
and
beautiful.
you know, me being so shy, I had to learn all those things. So I'm someone that did not naturally was born like this. I was very, very shy and I was raised in a family where my mom was super, super social and my dad was like more behind the scenes. And I was more like my dad. And I observed how my mom in business, like she could get just clients came out of nowhere because she was so social and she was so warm with people and she could confidently talk. And I was like, wow, so that did influence me a lot, but
Wow.
I was not that. And I had to learn
Oh,
these skills over time.
that's so amazing. And so is this course going to take place on Zoom and is it
Yeah.
coaching, like coaching calls and stuff? So you'll
Yes. Yeah, so we're going to be opening the cart soon. So if you want to know about this course, just follow me or send me a DM or visit my website, ninaperez.ca, and you can see where to go. And it's a group course. We'll do it all on Zoom, and we have weekly calls, and we have homework and challenges that people can do,
So
and start experiencing this body language power, because yeah, there's so much power and presence. Um, and some of these things are very fun. Like sometimes I want to be approached in a room and I want somebody to ask me something, and I will do one of my walks with a certain mindset. And kid you not, every single time I will get approached by the person that I'm like, I want that person to approach me. Or so these
wow.
cues, we exude them, and yeah, it's kind of funny. Sometimes my friends are like, "How did you do that?" and in the beginning, I was kind of trial and error. But as I read books about body language and connection, I was like, "Oh, that's called the fish. Oh, that's another technique of how to get somebody's attention without interrupting them." Or, "Oh, that's what you can do with eye contact to give that cue that you are looking for more, or you're looking for less." Kind of connection, and
So
so
interesting.
yeah, I learned a lot from the dance, and then I applied a lot trial and error. But when I started reading all the books of body language and connection communication, it's like I kind of re-engineered it together to understand that's why things were working.
Well, that's so great. That's so great. And if somebody who's watching, wants to follow you, is the best place on Instagram?
Yes. Well, yes. The Instagram is always the best place, and I'm learning to be more Instagram, like an Instagram lover, like a social media maven. And so, um, be patient with me that I'm learning how to post more and how to be like this on live. And yeah, but you can always message me on Instagram and my website. When you go to ninaprez.ca, you can see the dance school because I still have the dance school. I still teach
Oh,
people how to
that's so
dance
great.
online. Yeah, I have courses, and you can also see the Connect to Thrive business that I have. So my company is called Connect to Thrive, and our website is thrivetoday.fun. So you will see when you go to my name, ninaperez.ca, all the different things that I do and how I help people from dancing to connecting in conversations and body
Oh, I
language
love
skills.
that. So, in just closing up, is there one nugget that you want to share with everyone um, that maybe they don't know?
Hmm. Yes, I would like to say there are three languages you need to be aware of when you are moving in the world. The first language is your inner language. What are you saying to yourself? Not try, choose to be intentional of what you're saying to yourself. So, your inner language, be intentional with your inner language. So, you're
Mhm.
out in the world and you're thinking, like you walk into a room, I want you to have an intention of who you want to be, how you want to come across. Maybe you want to come across as funny and loving or funny and smart, right? So you choose an intention, and that's the inner language. The second language you want to be aware of is your body language, right? What are you doing with your hands, with your shoulders, with your body? Are you a little tense? Are you like fidgeting? Are you moving so much? Or are you able to breathe deeply and relax into your body? When you can be in your body in a relaxed way, people will notice. People will feel like I want to talk to the relaxed person versus the fidgety one, right? So pay
Right.
attention to your body language and sometimes check in. How does the chair feel? How do I feel? How do I feel with my body? How about a deep breath right now? And pay attention to that. And the third language is your outer language. What are you saying to people? Like, how are you communicating? What kind of questions you're asking? Sometimes people will say, "Oh, I have this. Let me tell you this thing I want to ask you, but it's a little bit complicated." Or, "I don't know what to say right now, but I'm going to ask you." And they prime you in the negative, right? Sometimes people say, like,
Ah,
"Here's a stupid question." Well,
right.
now I think no matter what question you ask, that it's a stupid question. And so pay attention to how you're speaking, what you're saying to people, and but choose to use connecting language. So instead of saying, "How are you?" you can say, "How are we doing today?" How are we doing today? So different the feeling of
Right.
that. that statement, that question, than just how are you, right? And so those are three languages that I think are great to put energy into and to think about: your inner language, your body language, and your outer language.
Love that. Love that. That is so beautiful. So beautiful. I just am so thrilled that you were able to join me today. It was a lovely, lovely conversation with you and you sharing your journey and all these tidbits of connection. So, is your Instagram handle just Nina
Connect with
Perez?
Nina.
Oh,
Oh, it's
connect with
Connect
me.
with Nina.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
So,
so
on
Connect with
Instagram,
Nina.
Connect with Nina. So that's her Instagram handle. So you can learn more about her course that's going to be launching soon and follow her so you can see her live. She does lives and then posts really good content about connecting. So thank you so much, Nina, for your time today. And it's so good to see you and have this conversation.
You're so welcome. And everybody, if you haven't checked out Anne's jewelry, I have to tell you, I have seen a lot of jewelry and people approach me a lot, but her jewelry has that connecting energy because when you wear some of her stuff, people, it could be a great conversation sparker. People are going to say, this is different. And sometimes, you can start with saying, this is one of a kind, or this is one of a series. And so do not underestimate that jewelry and what you wear, your kind of costume in life, can be a great way to connect with people.
Oh, thank you, Nina. That's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate you
No
so much.
problem.
Well, have a lovely, lovely afternoon and we'll catch up soon.
Yeah. Bye,
Okay.
everybody, and keep connecting.
Bye. Yeah, bye. Thank you.